Right, I think we're live. So, welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We have a lot of updates today on the Yield app and Haven1 side. So, actually, to the left of me, we have a special guest, Jeff Owens. You guys will be seeing a lot of Jeff moving forward. So, we've actually just recently released a press release on the two companies coming together in order to build out Haven1. So Yield app and Coinbag. Jeff's the founder of Coinbag himself, and John and his development team. We've joined forces, to essentially speed up the development process of Haven1. So we'll take you through a lot of updates today. I think we'll first touch on this, and actually I'll start here. I'll just kind of introduce Jeff. He's a seasoned entrepreneur in the crypto and tech space overall. He's got a very strong product background. Has built units, scaled companies, sold companies, and overall, Jeff and I we've been kind of collaborating over the last 2 years and looking to officially do something together. And we're really excited to come together and join forces to build out Haven1. So welcome, Jeff.
Thanks. Good to be here. Nice to meet everyone.
Jeff, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about your background and your team today?
Yeah, absolutely. So myself, as Tim mentioned, Jeff Owens, been in blockchain since 2015, investing, advising, building. So most notable is my recent company, Coinbag, which Tim mentioned and alluded to. It was an institutional grade digital asset management tool that allowed you to connect to multiple wallets, license custodians, and then do all the operations across that. So whether it was payroll, airdrops, reporting, all in a single place with multi-level access controls. We actually had a lot of institutional clients, family offices, public institutions that would elect to earn interest with Coinbag directly from their wallets. And a lot of them have pulled back on DeFi, given the risks that are there. And so we really resonated with Tim when I was talking to him about the DeFi fund team within the Yield app organization. And we started talking to our clients, and sounds like Tim was having some very similar conversations that ultimately there isn't a solution out there in the layer one blockchain space that is solving some of the key issues that to bring traditional finance and traditional players into the space and DeFi. And so that's where I think we really align well with Haven1. Some very exciting things in terms of growth for us is not only is Yield app going to be hopefully one of the large users of Haven1 to start, but also Coinbag and the clients that we have. We have over 1,000 institutional clients and Web3 companies on the platform already using it, ready to have a platform like Haven come in. And so that's where we brought our team over to really help expedite some of the development and really get things going as quickly as possible. So some other interesting things to mention is the validators. So we're working with a lot of our own strategic partners from Coinbag to try and bring on some of the best validators in the space. This is across Web3 companies. This is large digital asset custodians that are across the world. And yeah, really hoping to leverage and tap into their networks to hit the ground running with the Haven1 network right away. So as Tim mentioned, you'll see a lot more of me going forward, but I'm always happy to answer questions and look forward to talking to you all.
Yeah, perfect. And we also have another Jeff with us, Jeff Cafola. He's also with us. He's head of marketing at Haven1. He's been with us for a number of months. You've probably seen him in different chat rooms, but Jeff's really a seasoned marketer, really in the Web3 space, has helped a number of companies grow and gain traction, and he's already had a big imprint on Haven1. So Jeff, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, thanks for the intro. Yeah, two Jeffs is very uncommon, especially on the same team. I think I've only met a handful of Jeffs in my entire life face to face, so it's exciting, taking over the world one by one. So I come from a Web2 background in digital marketing. I was the head of account management for Forex and crypto at a company called AdRoll, which is programmatic display advertising. I built long-term growth strategies with the likes of Celsius, Nexo, Whitebit Exchange, and a few others. So that's ultimately, I got into that because I was an investor since 2017, and I sort of had a passion for the industry as a whole. And pretty much around 2020, late 2020, I saw an opportunity. Obviously, the market was taking off again. And I decided to get involved in the crypto industry, at least consulting on the side whilst I was working my full-time job, and then eventually moved into a number of different roles. So ultimately, I've worked across different industries within crypto specifically. I've worked with GameFi companies to help them launch their token, scale their communities, and then onboard users onto their game. So the whole process that takes from first community building all the way to the game launch and retaining users. I've worked for a similar company to Coinbag, although it's more decentralized, a company called Streamflow, which was a token vesting and payment streaming platform, again, treasury management and that sort of thing. That was very much a niche B2B product. Obviously working with Haven1 now. So yeah, I mean, I have a whole wealth of background bringing sort of a Web 2 approach into Web 3, and ultimately also, utilizing the best of Web 3 has to offer. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get things kicked off. Obviously, we'll have our testnet coming up soon. That's the first milestone out of many, and really, really glad to be here and really glad to be a part of the journey.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, so I think I'll take everyone through a few quick updates just on the Yield app side. Cash is going to take us through a little bit what's happening on the Haven1 and give you a little sneak peek. So I think many of you have seen BNB was recently added. Obviously, we've had already a lot of deposits coming in through it, so we see the good reception on that side. We do plan on rolling out a number of other assets into the near future, and we also have some security updates coming into the platform, and actually all current addresses are going to be updated in the coming weeks. So just stay tuned, and obviously, practice good personal key management, and make sure you when updates come, you need to make sure you're updating your whitelist addresses. But our marketing team will send out information as that comes. So overall, we've always wanted to offer the top assets on the Yield app platform. Obviously, BNB, a number of other assets coming in the near future. So we're real excited about all the developments on that side. And on that, Cash, I think everyone wants a sneak peek of what's coming on Haven1. So please go ahead.
Sure thing. Thanks, Tim, and also welcome to both Jeffs. Very exciting time to be at Haven1 and Yield app. So I just wanted to give you guys a sneak preview into our onboarding process and show some of the apps and features that we've put together. I'll just share my screen. Cool. So essentially, both our design team and the front end team have been really hard at work crafting a seamless, user-friendly onboarding and verification process. This is something which is super, super important to us at the Haven1 team. Just to be real, Web3, often leaves a lot to be desired in terms of user onboarding, how intuitive it is. So, and whenever a new blockchain does launch, it feels like we're diving into a maze, trying to find the basic information, and trying to figure out how to do bridge transfers, how to use the apps onto chain, all that sort of stuff. So it becomes like a struggle. And even recently, as some people would know, that Mantle has recently launched, so has Base. I had a lot of confusing moments and trying to figure out how to bridge funds over, which bridges are legit, what the first DEX would be, how to kind of play around on the chain. So all that stuff, we are taking care of that. And as we get close to mainnet launch, you'll see us build out the our ecosystem page which guides users exactly where they need to go. They'll guide we'll have a verified bridge. We'll have some, as you can see on the screen here, we'll have a very easy and smooth onboarding and verification process, which is going to be easy for people to access. So these are just still screens. We'll release all this when the initial public incentivized testnet launches in sometime in Q3. So, users can easily navigate through this process. They can join the Discord through these steps. They can essentially do the verification forms through this. It's all kind of one-step flow rather than doing 5 or 6 different things and 2 different links. So that's a huge plus. Everything you need to know about contracts, all the assets available, or the verification process, and it's all going to be in one place. And in my book, anyway, this is the key to bringing newbies into the digital asset space. We've got to make this process as simple and accessible as possible, especially for people who haven't used blockchain before, especially for people who haven't even used a non-custodial wallet previously. So yeah, this is something we're going to obviously keep building on. You'll see some of this come into effect when the public testnet launches, but more and more features and the ecosystem page is going to be built out close to mainnet launch. So something to keep your eyes on. Let me just. I'll show you essentially the wallet interface. It's like a little interface that we've kind of custom built for our users. So navigate. Oh, hold on, I've got to rescale my screen, sorry. Cool. So essentially, let me just pause it for a second. As you can see, this is a custom-built interface which runs, in parallel or runs on top of MetaMask or whatever your custodial wallet is. It's, it's very kind of simple to see what all the features on all the assets you have on the chain through this wallet interface. This is just a small video that the user is going to stake 7,500 H1. Rather than having a very convoluted process where you have to run around 2 or 3 different screens, it's all going to be in one place. So you can see, you'll be able to see all your assets in one place. You'll be able to stake your H1 in one place. If you want to invest your H1 tokens, you can do this through the same interface here. And even governance voting will take place through the same screen as well. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So you can, at the bottom of the wallet interface, you can see, just pause for a second. You can see the total pool tokens that you've deposited. You can see the APR. This is just dummy APR, of course. If you're not going to, but this won't be an own fork with 25,000 APR, but you can kind of see the pooled rewards you get. So at the bottom of the screen, it might be too small to see, but you can even in real time, you can see the pooled rewards, the pending rewards, accumulating in real time. So easy to track, all in one place. If you need to claim your rewards, you can do it off this interface as well. And this is and just example transactions just pass through. And if you want to unstake it, of course, same screen as well. So it's all kind of going to be one place. We're going to keep building functionalities out of this interface. Like I said, our front end team is super switched on. We're working towards making everything very straightforward for the users. We want to make sure the user experience overall is the best in the blockchain space, because like I said before, having this onboarding process for new users is the key to bringing the next billion users or whatever, millions or billion users or whatever onto Web3, rather than trying to make it some super difficult process where you have to find out where the bridges are, find out where, which DEX to use and whatnot. Just one more thing. I want to share with you the custom block explorer that we've built out. Let me just want to share my screen. Cool. Something else as well. This is the custom block explorer that's been built out by the dev team and the front end team as well. It's got all the Haven1 branding. It's better than what Etherscan is. That's what most people will be used to using if you use DeFi. And we've worked together with BlockScout to create a custom version. Just something cool. I'll quickly show you. So a lot of cool features that Etherscan doesn't have, and one of them is if you go to the contract screen here, and I understand not everyone on the call will be familiar with reading contracts of Etherscan or just reading contracts in general, but one of the really interesting and useful features is each contract's going to be disseminated on and easily read through the this tab on the right, so you can kind of see each function. You can see all the different contracts it interacts with. Super cool stuff, which you won't find in any other block explorer. Apart from that, of course, if you go to charts and stats, and you can play around with how many active accounts there are, the accounts growth on chain, average transaction fees, transaction growth, all the stuff. We've all kind of made it very simple for users to find all the information they need, make it user friendly. So if you want to read contracts, if you want to kind of navigate, where you want to go in terms of pinpoint. If you want to check out how many assets a wallet has, if you want to check out the contracts a wallet has, it's going to be very simple, and we'll be able to help new users along the way as well whenever they need assistance in how to figure out block explorers, because it's not the easiest thing to use, block explorer when you are new to the space. But we've tried to make it as simple as possible, and this is going to be one of our missions going forward. That each new user, even if you've never used DeFi or a layer 1 blockchain before, we want you to be able to come into Haven1. We want you to be able to familiarize yourself with how Web3 works. We'll help you along with the process. We're going to have instruction videos, training videos, and really get you up to speed on using non-custodial wallets, all that sort of stuff. So bear with us for the next 3-6 months. We'll get a wealth of information out for you. It's going to be a very interesting and fun onboarding process for everyone. That's everything from my end in terms of the demo we have. We will have a community call on the Haven1 Discord in about maybe 2 or 3 weeks time. And I'll run through a lot more apps, and such as the Haven Swap DEX. I'll run through with you guys the entire functionalities of the Proof of Identity framework. It's a lot of cool stuff. I don't want to take up half an hour on this call, so I'll pass it back to the team here to get on with it. Thanks, guys.
No, thanks, Cash. That was great. I think that was the first peak for many. So, yes, please join the Discord, and you get more early access. All right, moving on. We had some big announcements this week, and while some of these announcements had kind of leaked into the community over time, something that we've really had many discussions about internally. So, in January, we announced that YLD app would be incubating Haven1. Obviously, it was kind of an early announcement. We wanted to kind of show our community what we're really building on behind the scenes, even though it was quite early at that. The original plan was to swap YLD across to H1, and over the last 8 months, we've kind of come to the realization that was not the best approach, both for what we think the community and also the companies alike. So, over this time, we really made a conscious decision, and one reason we have Jeff Owens actually with us today is in order to give the best chance of success for Haven1 and YLD app both. We really wanted to build these companies kind of independent. They're obviously very close, and these are our sister companies. And most of the YLD app team is actually working at some degree on the Haven1 project in order to give it its best chance of success long term. We really need to build an independent team that can be solely focused on building the ecosystem, the technology, and everything else. So I'll touch on a number of the key points of what we did announce, and probably expand on a few things for maybe some clarity. So YLD will continue to exist. So if you have YLD on the platform or anywhere you have it, you are not swapping across. Instead, you'll get essentially a linear airdrop. So there's a 5-year period that we've kind of come to consensus with the Haven1 Foundation, and it's very important, obviously, in having a controlled distribution. Right, it takes time to grow a network, grow adoption, and so we think that 5-year period is both advantageous to help build a successful ecosystem. At the same time, your YLD remains your YLD. And so we think you're getting a bit of the best of both worlds. So YLD app will be the original bridge for the Haven1. Over time, we will be building out additional bridges, but we think obviously it's the missions are very much aligned, right? So giving opportunity to safe, secure yield has been the mission of YLD app, and creating that environment is still the vision of what we're creating at Haven1. From January 1 onwards, YLD rewards are going to stop, right? And obviously, so that inflation, all those promotional campaigns have stopped. Yet YLD stakers will begin to accrue H1 rewards. So again, one program ends, but another one begins, and we think it's a great opportunity for the Yield App community. So that's going to be used in that pool that's allotted for Yield App and YLD holders. We're also going to be able to incentivize particular funds. So for example, yesterday we launched BNB. If we were going to be launching a promotional campaign, for example, we might be offering an H1 incentive on top of it. So again, we want to be able to grow the Yield App ecosystem and obviously reward YLD stakers at the same time. So there'll be no more locked state of YLD from January 1 onwards. They said there'll be the wallet and staked YLD. So again, the full details we've outlined in the blog. You can always ask in the community. We're happy to kind of try to expand on anything of how things are working. Addressing concerns of the community. So again, we've listened to you, Peter, our RMs, over the last 8 months. We've set up a number of calls. We've tried to get as much feedback as we can. And again, we've updated the model, which we think is going to be stronger to both create a stronger ecosystem for Haven1 and reward all the loyal community members at YLD and Yield App. A big question that's kind of coming up is, are we abandoning YLD? And I think anything but that. I think today total, I think we're about 65 total people working on Yield App and Haven1, and about 50 of those people are full-time focused on Yield App. So we have, obviously we've launched BNB yesterday. We have a number of assets coming to the platform in the near term. We've obviously continued to grow out our swap capabilities, fiat rails. Yield Pro, I said, is right around the corner. It's in that kind of a testing environment right now. We have a number of updates that are coming right now, and so we expand. We continue to expand the utility of YLD on the platform. So overall, we think these moves, especially building independent teams, is just going to set us up and give us a better opportunity to just be successful overall. Obviously, having people that can be fully focused on the mission at hand instead of diluting resources. So we'd like to bring you comfort to know that if anything that we think this is creating even a stronger ecosystem than kind of being originally planned. We're going to talk about the utility of H1. Actually, Cash, I think I'll pass that over to you now. Maybe you can kind of touch on the utility of H1.
Sure thing. So we haven't released a lot of information around this yet. There's a bit of information which was in the light paper. There's a bit of information in the Gitbook documentation that we have out. But this is something we've been fleshing out and we're still working on for until launch, because we really want to kind of meticulously design something which is very beneficial for the holders and like the future of the product. That being said, what we have so far is one of the strongest native utility tokens I've seen. I've been in the space for numerous years. I both worked in DeFi and CeFi with Yield App, of course. And the H1 token itself, first and foremost, all holders of the H1 token can participate in the revenue sharing program. That's incredibly rare for any L1 blockchain token or any L2 blockchain token. Anyone who's used any sorts of blockchain before, most of you guys use Ethereum, or most of you guys use, Arbitrum or Optimism or BNB or Avalanche and things like that, but none of them really allow you to do proper revenue sharing as H1 will do. So think about it this way: there's going to be all of these protocols, such as the automated market maker, which is this decentralized exchange. There'll be the lending markets, the derivatives, platform, and other things, which will all be owned by the chain itself. Now, just by holding and staking H1, you get part of the network revenue generated by all those protocols, plus also the transaction and the application fees. Now, that's super significant in my view, anyway. Some of you guys might disagree. I'm happy to take feedback on this. But so you get all the network revenue share, or some of the part of network revenue shares, depending on how much you stake. You earn, that's, and if H1 blockchain really succeeds, so all the YLD holders earn H1, right? So essentially, you are earning, just by holding YLD, you are earning a revenue share token of a layer 1 blockchain that's consistently going to grow for the next few years. Like, to me, that's an unbelievable value proposition for YLD holders. And anyone who wants to buy and hold H1 to market, that's also super useful for them, because they will own a stake of the revenue that we generate. So, and this revenue, it's not going to be limited just to these sources. We're going to keep building revenue. So we're going to have a ETH staking product as well, and part of the revenue share is going to go on to the token holders, and and that's not even all of that's getting it, but without even getting into the other benefits, such as governance. Now, layer 1 blockchains and big projects have got very strong governance features. It's, whilst some people might think governance is a bit of a meme to token holders, but not for layer 1 blockchains and bigger protocols. It is super important for the community to get involved in deciding the direction of the protocol and shaping which way we go to. So that, just on top of my head, you can think about governance incentives, such as governance, like sort of mechanisms such as voting for protocol upgrades, voting for fee distribution mechanisms, building grants, how to just distribute the incentives, any other project management decisions you can kind of think of. There's a lot of value a token holder can provide to the the transparent and fair governance model that we're building, and each token holder can decide how Haven1 should be built, and vote in their own interest or interest of the project itself. So, and all these, of course, governance features will go towards not just a blockchain, but also the core protocols that I mentioned before. So the main market maker, AMM market, AMM, main lending market on chain, main derivatives platform. So it's super interesting how this all going to work together. And yeah, sorry, I forgot even to mention, it's going to be the gas token on chain as well. So automatically creates demand just by being the gas token. You're going to have to spend H1 to transact on chain for some actions. Like some actions are going to be gas free, such as transfers. But if you want to interact on chain with any protocol or any kind of apps on chain, you're going to have to pay an application specific fee, which has to be paid at H1. So automatically, you can kind of see all the wheels kind of turning. We've created a very positive flywheel effect on how H1 demand and supply will work. We're, as Tim spoke earlier, if you want to create a successful blockchain, you really have to manage the initial supply and how the inflation works. And we have been working on this for months. This is something we're going to keep working on for until the mainnet launch as well, trying to improve it, trying to come up with new ideas, trying to provide real value to the token holders, which will be everyone on this call. And this is, when no one in this space knows everything, and that's not something we're not going to sit here, even though we've got years and years of experience in blockchain space on this call. Tim's probably got about 30 years in the space just by looking at him. But anyway, we're not going to sit here and just say that we know everything. This is what we will need community assistance from. So get active on our Discord. If you've got tokenomics ideas, there's myself, Jeff Cavola, and Jeff Owens are going to be there to help you guys, discuss things with you guys. I think the community can add a lot of value here even before the blockchain's launch itself. You can really get involved in the early stages, help us design the token, help us design the protocols, help us design, how everything else, the governance framework will work. So I encourage anyone who actually has YLD or plans to hold YLD in the future, or future H1 participant, to get involved at the super early stage. It's very exciting. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's a super exciting time for all of us. We're gonna try and figure things out step by step. it's not an easy process building a layer 1 blockchain, and but this is something that we really see value in. Anything you guys want to add, Jeff Gafola or Jeff Owens, on top of that?
Nope. Pretty good. We can move. Yeah, you absolutely nailed it. We can move on to the next section if you want. Community questions. So these are questions that have obviously been asked across Telegram. So any questions that people have here, by the way, we won't get to answer most of these questions, but I do encourage everyone here to post these questions in the Haven1 Telegram, Yield App Telegram, our Discord channels, whatever channel you prefer. Like, we are open to answering all of these questions. Some of the questions we won't know the answer to right now, but if we don't, we'll make sure you're aware of that as well. And it's always a good idea to join these channels, because then you get to keep up to date with all the latest announcements and what's happening. With that in mind, before we go on to the community questions, for everyone here, it is important to know that we do have the testnet obviously coming up at the end of Q3. So that's probably the end of September. Exact date is yet to be announced. It will be incentivized, right? So we don't have to say more than that. Hopefully everyone knows what that means. But basically, to get involved, step one, we've got a Zeely campaign running. This is to obviously, get people interested in our socials and complete certain quests. So if you want to navigate to the Haven1 Twitter, you'll see the pinned message there directs you to the Zeely, where you can start the campaigns. Okay, step one. And then when we do go on to the public testnet, we'll obviously have the opportunity to interact with the various protocols on there as well. We will have an invite-only testnet, which will be launched probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Around the same time, we're going to have our community call. And there will be an opportunity for people who complete certain tasks in the Zeely campaign to get invited on that as well and be an early access tester on the overall network. So exciting stuff there for sure. Going into the questions then quickly. So this one is for Tim. Talking about buying H1. Will there be a seed round or pre-sale for H1?
Yeah, so we've made a decision to build Haven1 completely independent. So ultimately, it will need its own direct funding to drive the project, and so there will be some funding campaigns. So obviously, once the testnet is really up and ramped up, our goal is to go out there and do some funding rounds. So in short, yes, eventually there will be.
Perfect. And then same again to Tim, talking about unlocking H1 specifically. So when will the first unlocking take place?
So the plan is on January 1, your staked YLD on Yield app will start accruing locked H1. And so locked H1 initially will have a 365-day vesting period. So once you start accruing, however, there is a feature, even though we have not announced it yet, which would be to be able to withdraw locked H1 on the Haven1 network as escrowed H1, which for us, it's about driving adoption and obviously the partnership, the synergies with Yield app and Haven1. We want to drive more attention, more daily active users on chain. So, Cash, maybe that's a good time to just give a little brief intro to escrowed H1.
Sure thing. So escrowed H1 or ESH1, that'll be the token ticker over itself. It is essentially, in a very simple way, a non-liquid token, meaning it can't be traded or transferred between wallets. The main use of ESH1 or escrowed H1 is it can be staked to receive rewards on the Haven1 blockchain's usage and the network revenue share that I spoke earlier about. This essentially creates an alignment between protocol participants, which is the users, the people who run the blockchain itself, as well as every single person who transacts on the blockchain and wants to get involved in those particular protocols. So the model the escrowed H1 model essentially improves its supply and demand mechanism. It removes tokens from the early, open market. And the important thing is if you do vest it, or if you want to redeem your ESH1 to H1, it'll fully vest over a 365-day period. But you will get it, it linearly vests block by block over a period of 365 days. So every block you get a little bit back, and by the end of the 365 days, you'll get all of them back to regular claimable H1 tokens. The main thing we really want to push here is we want people to stake those tokens to, and encourage that behavior, so they can receive a revenue share of the entire network fees and whatever revenue that we do create. So that's the kind of a behavior we want to kind of encourage, and it's incentivize people towards that direction rather than claiming them, because you will, like I said, you get significant benefits by staking, and something we are just building. We're going to keep building on as well.
Perfect.
We have no public information on that yet, but obviously over the coming months we'll start to release. But there's just Cash and the guys have been building out some pretty robust plans on that.
Perfect. Yeah. So there's another question then. So regarding the sort of Yield app roadmap. So this person VG18 asks, they're a little bit surprised that two protocols are completely separated. But what sort of developments do you have on the roadmap for Yield app specifically that shows continuous development and solutions for the future? And I'll give that one to Tim, because I think you touched on it earlier on.
Yeah, so right now we have a number of things in our roadmap. So obviously we have a number of new assets coming on the platform. Lucas and the team have built out different management of these assets, and so we think there's some really exciting things coming on that front as well. Yield Pro, anyone that's involved with Yield Pro have used a similar app or the other app, the native app, that's coming fully integrated to the Yield app platform. Said it's in a testing phase right now. We really just want to continue building out the swap capabilities, fiat capabilities. So there's no shortage of exciting projects ahead to really build a fully complete digital wealth platform, which is what we're ultimately driving towards.
Perfect. Yeah, there's a number of questions coming in. We won't have a chance to answer these at the moment, but there's a lot of questions around tokenomics and things like that. And to be honest, we're still in deciding what to do when it comes to these sorts of things. One thing to mention though is that there has been a portion set aside for YLD holders, and that is a fixed amount that only YLD holders can actually access. So there is a huge benefit there for holding the YLD token specifically. As we understand more about our funding rounds and as we develop through the actual sort of project development, we'll have a better understanding of where the tokenomics need to go. But yeah, look, I'm going to wrap it up there. As I said, any questions that people have, and I can see a lot of them coming through, please do ask them in our social channels. Do get onto Discord, do get onto Telegram, do ask these questions, and we will absolutely answer them as and when we can. But yeah, listen, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate everyone joining us here today. We'll do this again sometime in the near future when we know a little bit more information. And in the meantime, let's keep on rocking.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.